when you build it around you, there's a possibility if you're not available that it's going to crumble. So that's what I did. So I ended up closing that firm and began to look at how could I possibly make money online. And I'm gonna tell you, I tried everything. I tried, YouTube, eBay, Amazon. I tried everything trying to figure this all out. But then I did exactly what I'm going to ask you to do. I looked at who I am, my talents. Those are the things that are natural, things that I'm born with. My skills, the things I've learned along the way through education, life experience, and employment. And I looked at my passion. What is the things that I love so much that I would do it for free? And then I took that assessment and I began to look at what will the marketplace pay for. The end result is that I love speaking, I love training, I love seeing people being transformed and growing and finding the jewels that have been hidden inside of them. This is something that brings me great pleasure. And so I figured out, how do I bring that to the marketplace? I'm a gerontologist, so I've studied the baby boomer generation pretty much my entire working career, developing national solutions for that demographic. And so I looked around and I said, oh, wow, this whole thing about side hustles, lifestyle business, whatever you want to call it, but basically earning income on your own is something that this demographic and the Xers are really interested in and really need to do. So that brings me to who I am. And it brings us to this point. And so the reason why I do this is because I understand demographics. I understand, national shifts. I understand implications for people who are mature, 40, 50 plus. And I'm going to share some of that with you. So what we want to do today is we're going to go through a process. And I hope you all had a chance to download your gig assessment, which will help you generate ideas for gigs. I want to just clarify something. When I use the term gig, I am talking about contract work. I am not talking about Uber and Lyft and delivery services, even though that is a part of the gig economy. But I know most of you guys are professionals and you're looking for professional opportunities. So that's what we're focusing in on today. So everybody's going to take a chance and look at who they are and what the implications are for them getting additional contracts. And it is beyond what your job description says about you. And then I'm going to go a little bit into why it's critical for you to have this understanding right now. And I'll give you some tips and tactics on things you need to do if you decide to look at online opportunities for your next gig. Now, I always promote both online and offline, marrying the two together. This pandemic, I've gotten like so many more speaking engagements. And of course, they're all virtual because people realize now that this whole virtual environment is where we're going. There's a lot of growth. And also they realize that they don't know how to use the tools that you need to understand how to use if you're going to be successful being a professional with clients all over the country, clients all over the world. You're going to have to get very comfortable with the digital world. So that's what we'll do. And as we go along, feel free to ask any question. You can raise your hand, so to speak, or put in the chat if you have a question. And I think they want you to put 4 question marks in front of your question, so they'll be sure it's a question. And then John or someone will just alert me and we can just deal with questions and answers as we go along. So if you have not already had a chance to download your gig assessment, I'm going to encourage you to, if you can, even print it out, because we are going to be working with that. So you cannot download it at my website because technology error, something happened with the website and the hosting, and so it's not functioning well. But you did receive an email just probably within the last 20 minutes that should have an attachment for this assessment. So I encourage you to have that handy as we go through this presentation. We are going to be using this very, very soon. So pull out your gig assessment. If there are people who do not have the gig assessment, again, put it in the chat feature, and the staff at 40 Plus will try to get that to you so you can fully participate today. I want to talk about the State of the Union and why this presentation is so important. So we all know that unemployment is just rising tremendously. You know, I checked this morning to see how many people have registered for unemployment, because it keeps going up higher and higher and higher, the rate and the numbers. This morning, it was 22 million Americans are unemployed. I looked at projections for the next quarter. The next quarter projections, depending on, you know, who you listen to, some futurist type people are a little more optimistic, and some people are a little less optimistic. But so some of the projections are saying that we could have as high as 1/3 of our potential labor force unemployed. That's tremendous. There are some projections that talk about what it will be like for people 55, because you look at most of like the federal research, and a lot of it focuses on age 55 plus, some of it will be 50 plus. But when you look at, you know, the mature worker and what some of those estimates look like, we know that right now, of 55 plus job seekers, 19% are unemployed right now. And that unemployment rate has been very stable for the last 4 to 6 months. Projections are, of course, that's going to rise tremendously. Now, I was on a webinar last week, I think it was, with attorneys who specialize in employment law. And we're talking about the pandemic and all of the employment law issues that might come up. And so I was the person who raised, what about age discrimination in employment? What do you think is going to happen? How can people document it? What do they need to be aware of? Basically, those attorneys are saying that this pandemic, during this time, it is going to be absolutely impossible for you to prove age discrimination in employment, because so many companies have, you know, been dealing with, you know, a decrease in their cash flow. Their projections are being altered and they're all looking negative. So if mature people are chosen to be laid off, you won't have a leg to stand on. That was his opinion. Now, we also know that during the Great Recession, that for people who were 50 plus looking for employment, on average, it was taking them between 7 months and a year and 2 months. Most of us cannot live 7 months with no income. That's why they extended unemployment back in those days. But depending on where you live, and especially in this area, unemployment typically does not pay our bills because we have a very high cost of living in the DC area. So we know that when the economy does bad, that companies first look at what high-paying employees can we lay off? How can we get their work done? Many times they look at their skills assessment, but they also look at their body count and they say, if I have somebody that I'm paying $125,000, I can get 2 younger people for that price. And also I can get rid of some of the mature people that I've been wanting to get rid of, but didn't want to face any age discrimination and employment action. So high paid employees are, they're on the chopping block. That's up to the company to decide what they want to do or not. Then on top of that, the whole age discrimination piece, you have a lot of employers who are now also going deeper into the digital world. They're looking more at remote work and what it's going to mean for the future of the company. They're looking at all of these software packages where they can do things, in the digital world that they used to do in person. And there are stereotypes that many of us don't want to learn technology. And that's one of the reasons why you have a higher percentage of mature people being laid off. Now, I don't want to be like the person who's like so down and bringing you down and making you depressed and all of that, right? But I want to tell you what I'm seeing and what the experts are saying, because I don't want you to get caught off guard. During this pandemic, and I wish we could have done this 3 weeks ago, it's a perfect time for you to begin to fashion some options for yourself. It is a perfect time for you to begin to dig deep, look inside of yourself and say, what else can I do beyond my last job description? We're not going to know. We're not going to know whether or not some people retain their jobs. Some are going to go back to work, and it will be a short time later when they have their talent plan, their staffing plan in place, that people will start to get layoff notices. It may be some months from now as companies try to recoup some of their losses, that they find that, the runway is just too long and they're not going to make it and they have to lay people off. We don't really know. Now, there are some industries that are growing, and we're going to talk about that. But I really encourage you. This is really important. Be prepared. Look at your other options. Have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. We used to always talk about, streams of income. I want you to have avenues of revenue available to you, whether you use them or not. Don't be caught off guard. So that's the way I see the State of the Union. So let's do the exercise. Everyone should have their gig assessment, and I'm actually going to ask you to complete this. I'm going to give you 5 minutes or so to complete this exercise, and then we're going to come back and actually talk about it. Keep in mind, I'm going to ask for 1, maybe 2 volunteers. It really depends on how much time we have. It looks like we may only be asking for 1. I'm going to ask for a volunteer. So complete your gig assessment. We'll get a volunteer. You can raise your hand or put it in the chat that you want to be a volunteer. And if so, then we're going to bring you on camera, or at least on video, and you can talk through what you found out about yourself using this gig assessment. And then we will help you think of ways that you might be able to earn some additional income. So I can know if you guys think this exercise is helpful. Thank you for the thumbs up. Just put an H in chat. Let's see. Ann thinks it was helpful. Melissa thinks it was helpful. Jessica, Nicole think it was helpful. Linda think it was helpful. Okay. I am so glad that you found this helpful because we just updated it a little while ago. All right. So now I think somebody, am I giving feedback? I hear feedback. Now I think it's time for us to actually ask for a volunteer, and let's see what we can do with what you already have. If you want to volunteer, we're going to only take one now. If we have time at the end, we will go through this again. And maybe, 40 plus will invite me back to do a little bit more and pull this apart for you. But if you want to volunteer, put in chat, and I think we're going to have to take randomly, we will find someone to participate. If you want to participate, put volunteer in chat, and we will select one person. We will unmute you. If you prefer to be on camera, that's great. And we will walk you through this exercise. Do we have any brave volunteers? Put it in chat. Okay, Nicole is willing. Nicole, Carolyn, if we have time at the end, we'll also go through your assessment. But Nicole was the first one who says she was willing. So let's bring her up, her online. Hey, Nicole.
Hey.
How are you?
Hey, doing great. Thank you.
Good, good, good. So tell us, what is your brilliance?
Okay. So I had actually done some work through some of your previous offerings as I was building my LinkedIn in January and February of this year. Hard to say. Primary, I would say, so you want me to go top to bottom with the sheet, or?
Yeah, just list them off and then let's
okay. All right. So, I mean, had to rank them quickly or what have you, but networking and helping people, problem solving was under talents. Hard skills are also many, and it was hard to rank, but I just listed them out quickly. Writing, editing, research, strategizing with people, and that is kind of in a business vein, helping them to find their why. I don't know if that's a hard business skill that I offer in terms of helping people to get a 30,000-foot assessment and moving them forward with either a short-term or a long-term. But I do have some web design skills that are outdated, and I was currently in the process of upgrading those. I wasn't sure how to list the transitional. Okay. Does expertise overlap with talent? Because I left that blank because I was really concerned about what to put forth as my primary.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
All I'm trying to do is to get you think. But what we meant by expertise is, what is the thing that you would say, I am an expert at?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think again and again, it comes up as helping somebody to determine why they're doing what they do or why they're doing what they want to do, and helping them to identify tools and resources that will get them to their destination faster, and helping them to sort through what their priorities are. Life experience, strong administrative skill sets, variety across a number of different industries, some of that some of those tech skill sets that I was mentioning before. I could list out other things.
Mhm.
Trainings and certifications. I did actually in the month of January complete foresight specialist training through Institute for the Future. And I felt that that sort of capstoned or certified my foresight thinking skill sets, which I had already known that I had those, but I wanted to validate those in some type of a formal way. Hobbies, art history, art education, that stuff is in my LinkedIn. Curiosities, I kind of drew a blank. I have too many of them to list.
Okay.
Yeah, baseline passion, definitely educating, and there were subsets under that. Physical capacities, unlimited in terms of basic health. Yeah, so I don't have any limiting capacities in terms of health profile at this time. I think that's it.
Okay. Now let's go on to page 4.
Okay.
And let's see what we can do with what you have.
Okay.
This is apply my brilliance.
Okay.
So when I look at what you were saying very quickly, it comes to mind very quickly some things you can do to earn some additional income that's people are looking for. Online right now, there's 2 things that are king and queen.
Okay.
Content is still king, and video is the queen.
Oh.
So you said you can write, edit, research. All of that is in high demand. You said that you can do administrative. I don't really know exactly what kind of administrative stuff you can do, but that whole area of virtual assistants is really high.
Okay.
You said you can do education. So my question always is, what can you teach people that you already know? Can you teach people how to write? Your web design, not yet. You're building on that. Can you teach other people how to manage administrative tools? Can you teach people how to do research online?
Yeah. Okay.
So one of the things that we do with this Apply My Brilliance, we think about what can you create? When I think about professionals working in the gig economy, again, that's just getting a contract. You don't have a full-time job. You're getting a contract. It can be project-based. It can be short-term, a 3-month contract. I've had contracts that lasted for 5 years.
Right.
So what can you create with what you know, simplify, improve, complement, consolidate, increase, sell or resell, research, teach, streamline, stop, accelerate? I always tell people the teaching area for mature people is always an option.
Okay.
If there's something that you're an expert in, there are other people that need to know that expertise, and you can always teach that as an option, whether it's to young people or whether it's to new professionals. So writing, you can always create something. You can specify your writing and say, I know people who say, I write business plans. I write proposals for funding. I write LinkedIn profiles. You see what I'm saying? You're creating something very specific. And if you can niche in your writing so that the people who are really looking for that will find it. I know a woman who edits, and she edits only PhD, those big research
dissertations.
Wow.
Awesome.
She only does that. I mean, she does other stuff too, but that's her brand.
Okay.
If you get other kind of writing stuff, you'll take the jobs.
That's great to hear. That's a very specific niche. And that's no different than the LinkedIn niche, saying that you just only do LinkedIn profiles. That wasn't one that I had thought of. That's excellent.
And let me tell you, I've done 3 online summits with, 20, 26 presenters on each one. We had a young couple, two ladies from Slovakia. They decided that they wanted to do something on LinkedIn because they used to spend time on LinkedIn trying to figure out how to get money from the Americans. They started a company where they manage people's LinkedIn profile for setting up appointments. They don't even speak English very well. I'm just surprised, but they are booming. They are doing so well. They started out 3 months research, figuring out exactly what they're going to do. The 4th month they launched, they got 3 customers, and they're charging something like $300 to $600 a month US. So they're rich now. 4th month they had 3. 5th month they had 6. Next month they had 12. So when I interviewed them, they had 12 customers at $300 each. In their country, they're wealthy. Then I just checked back with them because I interviewed them over a year ago. I just checked back with them, and they have 4, 5, 6 people working for them. So if you can write, you can build an agency.
Okay. That is
You can start getting the business on your own, figure out what your niche is going to be, what your specialty is, start building that business on your own. And as you get overwhelmed, get people to work under you. You take a percentage of their contract, they do the work. You're going to have to oversee it until you feel comfortable that they can do a good job. And you are going to have frustrations when you hire other people. Just know that. Don't think you won't.
Okay. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Think about, if you're a writer, can you complement a graphic designer? Do you know any graphic designers? Because usually if you're getting something graphic design, you need something written.
Yes.
Can you complement? Can you find people all around what people, right next door to, okay, I get writing done. I also get graphic design done. I also, perhaps it's writing lyrics. I know another guy who wrote lyrics. I actually hired him. I used to do this podcast, but I don't do it anymore. But anyway, I hired him, and he partnered with, he would write the lyrics. He partnered with the musician who would sing. He partnered with the instrumentalist who would play, and then they would offer the entire package.
Wow.
So you got to think along that lines. Okay, I think we're getting kind of late, so I'm going to stop here. Was that helpful?
Outstanding. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. We got a couple more questions. Great summary from Peter. I can use some of the exact things that Nicole listed. And what services are you offering? I didn't understand it. Okay. Raul, I think marketing skills will be an important issue. Please address. Okay. Let me go back to our presentation. Marketing is important. Oops. All righty. Let me tell you where the gigs are, because I don't want to run out of time and just kind of leave you flat. So of course, there are gigs in essential industries. And some of this is, we just know the industries that are blowing up right now, they cannot get enough people to work. They're offering ridiculous amounts of money for people to work because it's essential and things are going fast. Now, they probably won't stay this way in a few more months, but if you just need to earn some income as a bridge to something else, it may work for you. Of course, anything to do with healthcare, public health operations, so you don't have to be in the hospital with COVID-19 patients, but the public health operations, they're looking at, they need strategists, they need marketing people, they need writers, they need all of these people to communicate with the public what is happening with the healthcare. The same thing with human service operations. They're hiring people. They're hiring people because all those applications that are coming in at SBA and unemployment, all of these applications need to be processed. They can't handle it all. They're bringing people in to help with this big influx. Essential infrastructure operations. A lot of people are getting hired, people who do supply chain management and looking at, transportation and how things are rerouted. So all of these areas, don't think like, you say food and beverage, production and agriculture. Don't say, I don't know anything about farming. Look at your list of possibilities and say, could I fit into this industry? Do a little more research on what this industry produces and what they need. Every business needs certain things. They all need financial people, administrative people, marketing people. All industries need that. So you may have to go to an industry where you don't have any experience, but you have the skill set. The ceremonial functions, cremation, all of that industry is overflooded. They need some help. The media is even saying that they're looking for people because things are happening so fast. They're looking for analysts to analyze the data that's coming out of CDC. There is just a lot of growth in certain industries. Again, hear more: home care services, transportation, professional services. I just did a series for corporations on what's coming down the pike and how they can stay relevant right now and what to look for in the future. And this whole idea of professional services, they have to get attorneys who can write new policies for them about COVID-19. They never needed a policy like that. They need policies written around remote work. Companies that never did remote work before, now they need policies, they need procedures, they need experts who can think high level about how do we develop a process to keep our employees safe and working. All of these, the post office is hiring. All of these are things that are just growing so fast it'll make your head spin. So how are you going to reach these industries when you can't connect with people one-on-one? One of the things you have to do is tell stories, and your story has to be the complete 360 of who you are. So again, if you are you're a certified project manager person, but you can also do accounting, you have to tell the whole story of who you are. Look at your LinkedIn and see where you can add in some additional skills or talents or interests and expertise about who you are. I can give you some perfect examples. I know someone who is a musician who does IT work. He doesn't have any shortage of work because he's in IT, but he really loves music. He always wanted to earn his income through music. So he actually put, his music stuff on his LinkedIn stuff with his IT stuff, and people actually started hiring him for music, which he loves. That's a side gig. That's not his main thing. So you can do the same thing. You want to make sure that how you present yourself is to tell the big story of who you are. LinkedIn, I mentioned that, look at your profile. Is there something else that you can put in your profile? Are there other opportunities you can go for besides what you've always been paid for? Networking. There are lots of networking groups online right now, so you can't get together in person. There are networking groups online right now where you can actually meet people one-on-one, because we put you into small groups. You can meet people one-on-one. So here's just a couple examples of, so I can't put them all on a graphics because this whole digital gig economy is growing so extremely fast. And I did a book called Do the Hustle Without the Hassle. It's a quick, simple, affordable way to make money online for people 45 plus. I have about 200 sites in my book, but I am going to just highlight a couple. Let me write this down so I can remember which ones I'm highlighting for you, because there are some sites that are looking for mature experts. And those would be sites that I would suggest you start with first. There's a group called the Business Talent Group. And at the end, I'm going to just list these in the chat that you might want to take a look at. There is, hold on one second. I wanted to go to the section that talks about people 50 plus. There's something called Over 50 Job Board. I'm just writing these down so I won't forget which ones I mentioned to you. There's Retired Brains. And I know that you guys aren't retired, but I list those because they are looking for people who have expertise and have been working in the field, in the various fields for a long time. But there's, a lot of administrative work that can be done, whether it's customer service, there's a ton of those, whether it's transcribing or translations. On the business line, I mean, people are hiring remote workers for everything. There's something called Experts 360, and they're looking for consultants who can help in the business arena. There's something called M Squared Consulting. They're looking for people to step in for temporary positions, like, to be the director of XYZ for 6 months or what have you. There's, oh my gosh, there's just so much that's out there. And these are all sites who are looking for people to work remotely. So, you can do a Google search, you can get my book, but you can find them. They're out there. So if you decide to do, to look at digital, for maybe your side gig or to help you earn income until you're ready to go back to work, I'm going to go through this very quickly. I like online because you already have everything you need. You already have. Now, most of you probably even have like some kind of PayPal account or something like that, but you already have pretty much everything you need, your computer, your internet service. You have everything you need in order to go into the online gig marketplace and begin to earn some income. Now, I get a question. Some people will say, hey, I tried to do this and I was on there for, 2 months and I didn't get anything. I always ask people, how were you on there? Just like anything else, how are you on there? You got to learn the best practices. You got to read the rules. If you're going to go on a site, first of all, try to find a site that is really niche to what you have to offer. There are general sites that are huge. Those are harder to get jobs on without having some reviews. But there are some sites that are very, very niche. There are sites for lawyers, there's sites for doctors, there's sites for writers, there's sites for designers. There are some that are very specific. When you get there, read the rules, find out how are people earning income on this thing. They usually have ways for you to connect with the people on their website who are earning the most money, whether it's through some kind of blog or a Q&A or a mentoring, they usually have some way for you to learn the rules. Get the app. This is a fast moving marketplace. People want to buy right now. They are not on there talking about, I'll need somebody in 5 months. They have a need, they need it met right now. They have money, it's already deposited right now. So you need the app, so when opportunities come up right now, you can respond right now. And so you can get yourself together so you have, like on your phone, you can have a template of how you respond to people looking for workers. And you can have your resume, you can have all your stuff on your phone. So when something comes across the app that you're interested in, you can respond. You got to make a commitment. This is just like anything else. You can't say, oh, I went on for a month or two periodically. I didn't have the app. I didn't know how to get jobs. You have to really be serious, just like you do anything else. You know, say, hey, I'm going to use an hour each day and I'm going to check the app. I'm going to set up notifications. So when jobs that I'm qualified for come across my desk, then I'm going to respond to them. Because a lot of times the first person, not maybe the first, but the first few people who respond, they get paid attention to. Bring your offline work online. So if you've got a contract coming up, you can say, hey, can I run this contract through this online service? I'm trying to get established, because reviews drive the algorithm. When you get on, you have no reviews, it's going to take a longer time for you to get jobs. But once you start getting jobs, you can get a lot of work. Thought leadership. A lot of companies are going to apps right now because they don't have time to upboard people the way they used to. They just want stuff done fast. And then build your thought leadership, because as we move out of this COVID-19 and people are still using the online gig marketplace, then they're going to then have time to say, you know, I want somebody excellent. So if I can see that they're, you know, sharing their expertise on LinkedIn, they're making very thoughtful comments, perhaps they have a one-page website with their kudos on it, you know, you're going to get more attention. Let's see, we got a couple questions. So Carol was saying how to find these. Search, just do a Google search, whatever area, you know, you're interested in, accounting, just say gig websites. Just do a Google search, you'll find them. You know, I've got some listed in my book, but you can find them on Google. You said post title and author name of book, please. Okay, I'll do that, Madeline. Nicole, Angela, I don't know whether I could meet with you. Okay, we can. That was Nicole. Dawn, can you give an example of the apps you're talking about? The ones that I was naming, Dawn. These are gig marketplace apps. These are websites that are matching people with contract work, not full-time work, project-based work, time-limited work. So I mentioned some of them, and I will put them all in the chat at the end of this presentation. Okay, and now my computer got frozen. Okay, here it is. It's not frozen anymore. So join the communities. All of these websites have communities. They have blogs. You can ask for help. You can say, hey, I just got on here. I don't really know how to do this. I'm reading the rules. I'm still a little confused. People will help you. And then just promote your work. You have to, especially right now, you got to promote your work, all of your work. You got to really promote your work. So when you go to these digital networking places, you've got to promote yourself. So important building blocks. If you want to use the online gig economy to earn income, you're going to have to change your mindset. See, for many of you, you've only had a job. And I've got so many stories of people who only had a job and they only wanted a job and they wouldn't consider anything else but a job. And I have seen people lose their homes. I have seen people pretty much lose their minds because they feel like if they don't have a regular job, that they're not providing value. And it simply is not true today. It simply is not true today. If you look at some of those statistics that I even have on the gig assessment, you will see that a third of all jobs right now, a third, of workers have done some kind of contract work. Contract work no longer is like, a negative. I actually think it's a positive if you can actually go out and get your own contracts. This is where the world is going. Now, there could be something that comes out of this whole COVID thing, that comes out of, you may have heard some of the problems that were going on with Uber and Lyft, but that's because Uber and Lyft were treating people like employees, telling them what to do, but they wanted them to be contractors. I'm not talking about Uber and Lyft. I'm talking about big corporations that want to hire people for projects and contracts for whatever reason. Small companies, I hire a lot of subcontractors. I had a company for 20 years. I never had one employee, but I had like 14, 15 subcontractors that I worked with on a regular basis. So you've got to change your mindset and see working gig work just as valuable as finding this ideal job that you dream about. I hope you do find it. But in case you don't, you need to have another alternative for work. And it doesn't mean that you don't make a lot of money. I do this presentation where I show people W-2 work, 1099 work, what the difference is. And professional contractors make more money than employees in general, even after their expenses and paying for their insurance and everything. In general, they will make more money. And I can show you guys that maybe at a later time. You need an income plan. This gets to the gentleman who had the question about marketing. You definitely need an income plan. If you're doing a side hustle, whether you're doing something where you're going to be, working primarily online, or if you, after this is all over, you're going to be, building a business that will interface with people person to person, you need an income plan. A company that makes no money is not a company. So that's something that you actually need to have. And in terms of marketing, someone was mentioning, if you're building a business where, primarily, you're getting your referrals from, face to face, or, your marketing plan should also include some online marketing opportunities. And I tell everybody needs a personal website. You can get them for free, a one-pager that just lists, more about you, complements LinkedIn, has, video testimonies. Ask the people that you've worked with, your coworkers, to do a short 30, 40-minute video testimonial about your skills, about your work ethic. Have them do that. Put it on this free one-page website. Didn't I tell you that video was queen? Video is going to rank so people can find you. Once this is all over, people are going to take a lot of time in their hiring, and they're going to look for you. If you can end up in a lot of different places, as being a thought leader, as being an expert, they will hire you quicker. So that's all a part of your income plan. teach what you know. I can't, I mean, let me tell you, there is this attorney that he lives in Florida, but I actually met him in New York at a conference. And he told me how he made, I can't even remember the amount of money, and I hate saying the wrong amount, but it was a lot of money. He was a high-powered attorney, $500 an hour, but his wife was complaining because his son was playing baseball and he was just doing terribly. And this guy played baseball in college. So the wife was complaining, you know, you're not helping your son. He wants you to help him, blah, blah, blah. So finally, he started helping his son a little bit. His son improved. Everybody noticed it. So all the fathers, what camp did you send him to? Oh, I taught him myself. Teach my kid. So then he did like a weekend baseball camp in the summer. They had to pay. That was to be closer to his son. He just took a weekend to be closer to his son. They loved it. He made money off that. And then his older son said, Dad, why don't you do videos and I'll put them up online and let's do a video training on baseball. They did that. He made a lot of money. I mean, in the six figures, because his son knew someone who was like an expert in search engine optimization. They got that offer optimized and he just did videos. His son recorded it. They didn't spend any money other than they did spend some money for promoting it online, and they made six figures. He didn't need the money. He was just trying to help his son, but he saw when he offered how everybody wanted it. You can teach something. Everybody can teach something. Learn to sell. Yes, for some of you guys, it's a new skill, but you sell yourself when you get a job. You have to learn to sell. You've got to learn to sell so that you're comfortable, you know you're adding value to people, and you're not appearing like a used car salesman, because we don't like, you know, the stereotype of used car salesman. So learn to sell, learn to use social media for business. Many people who are mature, they use their, you know, people understand LinkedIn is business, but I see it's starting to get a little, I don't like what's happening on LinkedIn. I don't like the foul language. I don't like all of the personal stuff. I just like to use it for business, but to each his own. But a lot of people will use Instagram and Facebook, you know, to voice their opinions about the government and show pictures of their grandchildren and all of that. That's fine. But if you are actually going to build a side hustle or build a business, you got to learn to use social media for business. You got to invest in your future. I can't tell you how many people I've seen like get themselves in a really, really bad situation financially because they refuse to invest in themselves. You're going to have to spend some money to do something that you don't know how to do. You don't have to spend a ton of money, but you're going to have to invest time and money, because even if you're an expert at XYZ, you got to learn how to market it, sell it, package it, find who your ideal customers are. That's all a part of your income plan. Here's a free resource if you guys are interested. It is coming up, this online training I'm doing with a friend of mine. Rita Wilkins is a lifestyle designer. She's a woman, I just admire her so much, who moved from a 16-bedroom house to a 800-foot condominium after a trip to Africa, and she realized that less is more. So we're going to be doing a free master class about mindset. So I can put that in the chat also if you guys are interested. This is how you contact me. And I think we probably have, what, John, maybe I can use 15 minutes for Q&A.
That's right.
Okay, let's see. We got some questions in the chat. Let me see. How do you know which sites are legitimate? You know, I think Carolyn was making that comment. legitimacy for these sites is a real concern. Couple things you can do. One is don't pay for anything in advance. Do not pay for anything in advance. Most of these sites you don't have to pay in advance. Number two is try to use the sites that are reputable. And again, sometimes that's hard to know, but there are sites that have been around for a little while. They tend to be, stable, and, they're going to be around. If you find sites that are listed in the media over and over, they're reputable. They might be around. We don't know who's going to last, but they are at least reputable. If they're in the New York Times and the Washington Post, and, if you find them when you do a media search, they probably are legitimate. But never spend any money in advance. Do a Google search, fraud in the name of the website, complaint, the name of the website. You do have to do your research, because you don't want to, end up dealing with a scam. Let's see. What else do we have here that I missed?
Angela, you mentioned a book later, and somebody wanted to know if you could give that information again, the author and where they could get the book.
The book is on Amazon. It's called, and I'll put it in chat to everybody. It's called Do the Hustle Without the Hassle. That's the short name. But it's a quick, affordable way to make money online for people 45 plus. But it's on Amazon. It's called Do the Hustle Without the Hassle. Let's see. And other questions? Please put the design thinking website in chat. I didn't mention the design thinking. That was Nicole who mentioned that. Let's see. Interested in a master class. Okay, I will put that on. How should someone establish her rates to pay for a gig assignment? It depends on the assignment. And it depends on the site. If you are going for the sites that are looking for high-level professionals, you use your same rates. I forgot, some of you guys have never did rates. So take your income and add about a third, because that's the expense of, if your company was 25 to 33% is about what your company would spend on benefits, and then maybe add another 5%, for your marketing costs, and then you can stay at pace with your current income. Oh, somebody said Rita is presenting at 40 plus on July 13th. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's good to know. Let's see what else. Okay, the website from the prior slide. Sorry, I don't remember the name. I don't know what that's asking. Okay, the website from the prior, this is Wilson asking, I don't know what you mean, Wilson. The website from the prior slide.
Yes, from your prior slide, you mentioned a registration link. I think it's the slide right before the Let's Connect.
Oh, for the
one with you and Rita, I
okay,
believe.
Okay. I'll put that in I'll put that in chat. So everybody have my contact information if you want to contact me, because I'm going to close down this slide so I can give you guys a couple more resources. Okay. Any other questions? Where can you get training on sales? You don't probably, I mean, you can, if you know, you can do like a sales training, definitely. I think selling as a consultant, as a contractor, that's really very different from some of the sales stuff that you'll find. It would be for sales professionals. So if you're not going to be a sales professional, you probably want to look for like consulting sales or something like that. Yeah, because you're not gonna want to, not unless that's what you want to do. You're not going to want to spend the time and the money, because sales training is usually really expensive. You're not going to want to spend the money for that. Any other thoughts, questions?
Angela, are there any books that you could recommend on sales?
I can't think of one like offhand.
And Angela, actually, this is Gerald Skinner. My background happens to be sales, and we have some wonderful 40+ alumni from our course that have expertise in sales, that are top-notch sales people. And so we are, in fact, thinking of providing a workshop on sales for our 40+ friends and 40+ alumni. I think this is really big. I'm so glad Anne, I believe, is the one that asked the question. It's essential. If you want to go out on your own, you really, really need to come to terms with the fact that you're going to have to develop sales skills. It's critical to be able to develop sales skills if you want to go out, strike out on your own. And so we want to be a part of the solution. 40+ wants to be able to help people learn at least some basic consultative sales skills. And this is a big idea that we have already talked about. And I want to bring that online as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Anne, for asking the question. And we'll give this a high priority. Thank you. We'll get back in touch with you with a work information on a workshop, okay?
And I did list the link for the Mindset free masterclass, and I also listed the organizations, the websites that that you guys can look for opportunities. And then someone mentioned, oh, thank you. Leandra said, this was wonderful. Anne said, thanks. Outstanding. Thank you so much. 40+ and Angela. Well, thank you guys. You know, my heart, I mean, seriously, I know what's going on. I know what's coming. I'm a gerontologist. I'm not, there's a lot of people now who are saying, oh, let me help, people 40+ learn how to build businesses, because it's like hot. This is who I am. I wrote Think of Your Entrepreneurial Future for AARP 13 years ago. This is what I know. So my heart goes out because, what I see coming down the pike, I mean, I've always been passionate about this. Anybody who's seen me present here before, you know that. But I'm concerned. I'm concerned that, there's going to be more age discrimination against us. And that it's going to, those numbers, they're going to flip again, because they were coming down, the number of months people took in order to get jobs. I believe they're going to bloom back up, because it happens during every downturn in the economy. I've been watching this for decades. So I know that we as mature people have to get with the times. We've got to explore, you know, what's out there digitally. We've got to learn how to present all of who we are so that opportunities that we've been passing up because they didn't fit our job description, that we can take advantage of. I can't tell you how many people, you know, we've worked with to help them repurpose what they have and to actually go into a totally different line. And it's something that they love and they're happy with, and they have the skill set and they're learning, you know what I mean? So if you're over 40, you've got what it takes. You are an expert, whether anybody's ever told you that or not. You are an expert. And so you can earn income on your own, whether you want to do it part-time or just for a short period of time, or if you want to actually build a business, you can do it. You guys have what it takes.
Angela, I want to thank you, but I also want to remind everybody, I'm seeing a lot of good feedback in the chat box, but I want to remind everybody to please fill out the evaluation form that you'll get at the end. Don't just blow it off. We really use this. This helps us determine who we're going to invite back. But I can tell you, Angela, you're a shoo-in. You've been here 5 or 6 times. You'll be back for a 7th or 8th, or maybe even more.
I love you guys. I want the best for you. I want you to succeed. You know, I get angry when I hear, you know, the average hiring staff person is, you know, 38. And if you're 45, they think you're old. And they think, you know, your wisdom is just so outdated. And they just make these assumptions. I mean, I've seen it too many times. And so it makes me angry. We need to.
It's a mindset, really, you know.
Yeah.
And if you have a young mindset and if you're exploratory, you're not going to have a problem. One of my idols is Tom Goodwin, who does the, you know, our Lunch and Learn program. But I was talking with him one day and he told me, he said, John, the best job I ever got, I got at age 66.
Wow.
And so that was encouraging to me, you know, and it all matters about how much effort you put into the job search, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love how you say, hey, you know, if they're not going to hire you, earn the money yourself, you know, because you're valuable. You know, invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And so, Angela, I could see us doing a workshop with you on, you know, like sort of invest in yourself. If you're interested, get in contact with me because we're interested in it. And I hope the people who are on, you know, online are interested in it.
That would be great. That would be great.
Thank you so much, Angela. The caring that you have for people of our age and our wisdom is really palpable. I thank you so much. It comes through that you really want to help people. And I thank you so much for that. Thank you
guys.
And again, in closing, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. I want to remind you, we do this 48 times a year on Mondays. We have a lot of other programs that, you know, our career transition and skills course is starting up. If you're interested in that, please sign up. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. And thank you again. Everybody have a safe and healthy week. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John. See you guys.
Thank you again, Angela.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Thank you.